Okay, now that you have your ramp built, we can ready to do the experiment. Again, here's the ramp that we just got done building. I put some marks on it for the various distances, and I'm also going to be measuring the heights up that those distances are. You want to make sure your ramp is pretty firmly mounted. At the end, I even just put a little bit of tape here because it was a little springy still. I'm trying to avoid any real springiness. So if this really bounces a lot when you press on it, put a little tape to make sure that you have a nice, smooth thing locked down. We have our cart, and we prepare it like we did in our previous experiment with one difference. So here's our car. I've taped my Pocket Lab on the car, and you'll notice that this time I have taped the Pocket Lab on so that the opening points to the front of the car. But nevertheless, this is the car we're going to be running down the ramp. Remember, this is not the pole car. This is the one that rolls freely. Take your Pocket Lab, again, make sure it's charged, tape it on, and make sure that opening is to the front. Just like we did in the previous experiment, we're also going to need something to reflect the signal off of. And we've used your box here, so you're going to want something. It's hard to see. I have it right on the edge of your visibility here. But I have, in this case, I just grabbed another piece of cardboard and taped it to the table. It could be a book. It could be anything just big enough that stands up so that your Pocket Lab signal reflects off of it. And I'll show you in a second how to make sure that you got that right. One thing I do want to say is that the distance between the end of your ramp and this reflective surface needs to be at least 50 centimeters. I would recommend even going a little bit longer because it means you'll get a little bit better data when you do the experiment. But don't go any shorter than 50 centimeters when you do this particular experiment. You could try a meter. That may be a bit far, but something between 50, 60, 70, 80 centimeters, a little bit further would be ideal when you do this experiment. And again, make sure that whatever surface you're doing this on is nice and flat. Okay, so that is our experiment setup, and we're ready to go. So the next thing we need to do is connect our Pocket Lab just like we did before. So here I have a window that shows you for the Pocket Lab. I'm in a different area. Please don't worry about that. You're going to do this in your card. So just the card right below this video is where you're going to record your data. Again, just like you did before. I'm working here only because it gives me a bigger screen so you can see a little bit better what's going on. So just like we did before, you should see this Connect to Pocket Lab button in there, and so you want to click on that. And you should see a window pop up. So it's looking to pair. Again, if it doesn't see the Pocket Lab, you're going to want to turn your Pocket Lab on, hold the button down, and then your device should appear. You select your device and you click pair, and you should be connected. And just like before, it can take a second for that pairing to happen. And again, like we did before, we get this window that says acceleration in it. It's not the window we want. So we want to change our graph. Same thing we did before. You click off the acceleration graph and you turn on the rangefinder velocity graph. Now, one thing that is different than we did last time is we actually want to change the rate at which this thing acquires data points. Again, this is to give us better data. So you're going to click on the rate button, and you'll see a list of rates. You're going to want to go down and select the one that says 25 points per second. So right now we're recording 10 data points per second. We're going to want to make that a little bit bigger and go to 25 data points per second. And you can see the data comes in much more quickly than we did before. So now we're ready to go. We're going to be doing this experiment at 3 different locations. You're going to do one that's up near the top of the ramp, one that's near the bottom of the ramp, and one that's in the middle between those 2 data points. And I picked the 3 creases because they were handy to do. For my demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and do this from the lowest position just because it's a little easier for me to reach. I'll admit that this can be a little bit easier to do with someone else, so if you have someone that you can grab, that would be quite handy. But if not, I'm doing it by myself, and so can you. Okay, so we're going to take our cart, we're going to put it such that the front end of the cart is right at the location of interest. We're then going to hit record, and I'm going to want to make sure that I'm getting some data. I'm then going to let the cart go, and when it kind of has gone to the bottom and recorded its data, I'm going to hit stop. Now, you'll see these very spike things that happen, and if you rewatch the video from a moment ago, you'll see those spikes occur right when I hit the little bit of bumps, and that's okay. But they're useful to know because this spike right here occurred right when I was exiting the bottom of the ramp, and so here is the region of data where my cart was coasting toward on this flat surface right down in here. Okay, and so that is the region of data interest that we want.